Does the guitar track you just laid down have a lot of spiky transients in it? Or do you just need to smooth out the overall track so that it fits better into the mix? What sort of compressor should you use in either of these situations? In this video, we're going to explore the different types of compressors that are available to you to help you tame those wild transients or just smooth out a track so that it fits your mix like a glove. By the end of this video, you'll have the compressor knowledge to help you create cleaner, better home recordings. Ready to get started? Someone hit record. Hi kids, my name is Merlin and I'd like to welcome you to Better Home Recordings. Today we're going to take a look at compressor types. Specifically, what are the different types of compressors and when and how should you use each of them? At the end of the video, I'll have a Better Home Recording super tip for you that will elevate you to Compressor Guru, Order of Merlin. So be sure to stick around for that sweet tip. In general, all compressors affect the dynamic range of a track or instrument. But did you know that there are several types of compressors that all operate differently and with different qualities? So, what types of compressors are there? FET or FET, VCA, optical, and variable mu are 4 different types of audio compressors. Each has a different characteristic due to the way their gain reduction circuits react to the signal being passed through them. Most of us generally know how to use a compressor, but as your skills and experience level grow, you should also be thinking about what type of compressor to use. So let's dig into the various types of compression. First up is FET compression. What is FET compression? FET stands for Field Effect Transistor. And this type of compression came about when hardware compressors started to replace large tubes with smaller transistors. What should you use FET compression for? Generally, the slowest attack times of a FET compressor is faster than other compressors such as a variable mu. FET compressors tend to give a punchy tone to the recorded signal and sound great on many different sources, be it drums, vocals, or guitars. This compressor type is good at controlling those spiky transients we talked about earlier, but can also be toned down a bit for track smoothing. Their sound is rich and full and can have a very sweet sounding distortion to them when driven hard. They're definitely the most popular type of compressor you'll see in most recording studios. The Universal Audio 1176 is a great example of a FET compressor and is available in both a hardware rack unit and plug-in form. Next up, we have VCA compression. What is VCA compression? A VCA compressor uses a voltage-controlled amplifier. That's what VCA stands for. In their compressor circuit. A VCA lets you use a particular voltage to control the amount of another signal that is allowed through to the output of the module. It applies more or less gain depending upon the level of the control voltage. In our instance, when that control voltage is derived from the audio signal itself, it can be used as a compressor. A VCA allows for full control of attack and release parameters and smooth response to the compression itself. This makes it applicable to almost anything from mastering tasks to taming down those pesky transients. VCAs also tend to have less coloration compared to optical or tube compressors, but the color they produce is quite unlike that obtained from a tube design. They are known to offer the highest possible amounts of gain reduction with the best transparency. This makes their use widely applicable to compression duties where transparency is the main goal. What's VCA compression good for? VCAs are very useful if you're trying to tame any intense peaks in your track due to its quick response times. On the other hand, it won't be as suited to averaging out the level of a song in the same way a variable mu or optical compressor will, which we'll discuss more in a moment. The solid-state Logic G series is probably the most well-known version of a VCA compressor. Besides its straightforward attack, release, threshold, and makeup gain settings, it features an auto-release setting that is program independent. It's extremely popular amongst mixing engineers for its transparency and its ability to glue the mix together. Here it is in action as the version presented by Waves. Coming in next on the compressor hit parade is optical compression. What is optical compression? An optical compressor, or optocompressor, uses a light source in a photosensitive cell to control the gain reduction. The basic principle within optocompressors is that this transducer takes electricity, in this case the audio signal, and transforms it into light and then back into electricity again. Because of the nonlinear way this transformation occurs, it creates an effect that is mostly pleasing to the human ear. The main sonic imprint of the optocompressor lies in its photocell. The photocell has a gradual and soft release curve that sounds very natural and musical. Compared to tube or solid-state compressors, the first 50% of the release time in an optocompressor occurs rapidly. The remaining release time of the cell is dependent on how long and for what intensity the light has been exposed. This means that when the input signal has been quite loud and the compressor is being driven harder, the release time will be longer. This flowing release time automatically smooths out the kind of uneven volume fluctuations that can result from other forms of compressors. What's optical compression good for? If you're trying to control short, sharp transients, an optocompressor is not your friend. But if you want to create smooth compression at much higher ratios, enter the opto. The smoother reaction creates a much more pleasant sound as the signal won't be dramatically squashed. My particular favorite use of an optocompressor is the Universal Audio LA2A on a finger-picked acoustic guitar, as you can hear here. It's also wonderful on vocals or vocal subgroups. It's also probably one of the most used compressors by mastering engineers due to its smoothness. Another favorite is the Waves Renaissance compressor. It's great for adding warmth to vocals and instruments. And finally, we have variable mu compression. Variable mu? No, mu. A variable mu compressor is one of the oldest types of compressors. It employs a tube as the variable audio attenuator. Mu, MU, is an engineering term for gain, so this makes it a variable gain compressor. In essence, the sidechain signal continuously adjusts the bias of the tube to alter its gain appropriately. Variable mu compressors are fast and smooth with low distortion. A simple way of thinking about a variable mu is that the louder the signal is, the more compression the unit will add. What should you use variable mu compression for? There are several reasons to use a variable bias tube compressor. One is the exceptional compression transparency that this kind of compressor can achieve, even into the extreme gain reduction realm. And, similar to a VCA compressor, but in a different way, they can add cohesion or glue to the buses, mixes, and masters. Because of the less aggressive characteristics of a VariMu, it's great in situations where you need to smooth out your source rather than tame your spiky transients. VariMus can add a bit of color to your mix, but can also add some warmth, which is great for instruments such as guitars or drum overheads. The Fairchild 670 is an example of a great variable mu. Okay kids, that brings us to today's Better Home Recording Super Tip. If you're just beginning to understand the basics of how to use compression, then try not to get too lost in the technicalities of each type of compressor. Try to keep in mind the sound you're going for or the instrument that you're recording. It's always worth noting and comparing the various characteristics of different compressors. There are no hard and fast rules when it comes to compression, so feel free to experiment and see what works best for you. Even if you make it sound awful, you'll get a better insight into what compressor is best for what job. And with that, congratulations! You've now earned your Compressor Guru Order of Merlin. I'm so glad you stopped by today. If you have any questions on anything discussed in this video or would like to suggest a subject for a future video, please leave a comment in the section down below. I would love to hear from you. A quick shout out to ProducerHive.com and SoundBridge.io for providing some of the technical details used in today's videos. Links in the description. That's it for now, kids. I hope to see you again soon. And remember, the first rule of better home recordings is there are no rules. Be sure to check out my other videos that you'll find useful for your home studio here. And please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more fun and information. I would very much appreciate your continued support. See you soon.